In 2003, a search and rescue team crossed a ridge at 4,500 feet elevation. GPS confirmed the altitude. Their altimeter spiked to 7,200 feet. No elevation change. Flat ridge crossing. They backtracked. Altimeters returned to 4,500 feet. In 2010, a SAR team crossed the same ridge. Altimeters showed 8,000 feet. GPS showed 4,500. 3 team members developed altitude sickness. On flat ground. Blood tests confirmed. Oxygen levels consistent with 8,000-foot exposure. The hiker they rescued. Normal blood oxygen. Consistent with 4,500 feet. Same location. Different elevations, depending on which measurement you believed. In 2017, 3 SAR team members collapsed crossing the ridge. Helicopter extraction required. The crew's altimeters, 4,500 feet. The ground team's altimeters, 9,000 feet. The ridge was designated Operational Hazard Zone. Ground teams prohibited from crossing. This is about a line across flat terrain where your altimeter decides what elevation you experience, not GPS, not the ground, your measuring device. On June 14, 2003, Search and Rescue Team ALPHA-7 responded to injured climber report in the Sawatch Range, Colorado. Victim location, east slope of Mount Princeton, approximately 4,500 feet elevation. Team leader Sarah Chen led ALPHA-7, 4 additional team members. Deployment from Western Trailhead at 4,200 feet. Standard SAR equipment including GPS units and barometric altimeters. Team departed 0920 hours. At 10:45 hours, team reached ridge crossing. GPS 4,510 feet. Altimeters 4,500 to 4,520 feet. Consistent readings. Ridge crossing appeared flat. Minimal elevation change. Gentle traverse across ridge saddle. Distance, approximately 400 yards. Team began crossing 10:48 hours. Halfway across, approximately 200 yards from start, medical specialist Lisa Warren radioed. ALPHA-7 lead. Altimeter showing incorrect reading. Chen checked her altimeter. Display, 7,180 feet. All team members checked. Martinez, 7,210 feet. Kim, 7,195 feet. Okafor, 7,188 feet. Warren, 7,205 feet. 5 altimeters showing 7,200 feet elevation. Increase of 2,700 feet in 200 yards of flat traverse. Chen checked GPS. Elevation, 4,515 feet. No change. Chen radioed base. ALPHA-7 experiencing altimeter malfunction. All units showing incorrect elevation. GPS shows correct 4,500 feet. Continuing to victim. Team crossed ridge. Altimeters 7,200 feet. GPS 4,500 feet. Chen decided to backtrack. At same midpoint where readings spiked, altimeters dropped. Martinez. Altimeter returning to normal. Display 4,530 feet. Dropping. Team reached original starting point. All altimeters 4,500 feet. Matching GPS. Chen examined altimeter. Calibrated that morning. No error codes. Functioning normally. All team units. Functional. Calibrated. Showing correct elevation now. Team bypassed ridge. Took longer route. Reached victim 13:40 hours. Extracted successfully. Chen filed report June 15th. Unexplained altimeter discrepancy at ridge crossing. All 5 units showed consistent 2,700-foot elevation increase despite GPS confirmation of flat terrain. Park Service surveyed ridge July 2003. Elevation profile confirmed. Ridge maximum 4,520 feet. Flat traverse. Ridge designated elevation line in SAR maps. Notation: altimeter discrepancy reported. GPS navigation recommended. On September 8, 2010, Search and Rescue Team DELTA-5 responded to lost hiker report. Hiker location east of elevation line, approximately 600 feet. SAR coordinator James Reeves briefed DELTA-5 on 2003 incident. Team leader Marcus Holland reviewed Chen's report. Assessment: equipment malfunction, likely resolved. Decision: cross elevation line using GPS, monitor altimeters. Delta 5 departed 11:15 hours. 6 team members. Team reached elevation line 12:45 hours. GPS 505 feet. Altimeters 500 feet. Holland radioed. DELTA-5 at elevation line. Equipment normal. Proceeding. At 200 yards across, altimeters jumped. Holland 150 feet. Team member Yuki Tanaka 809 5 feet. Range 8,000-8, 200 feet. GPS 510 feet. Team continued quarter mile east. GPS 600 feet. Altimeters 328, 400 feet. At 13:18 hours, team member Daniel Osai reported. Lead: experiencing headache and shortness of breath. Holland stopped team. Symptom check: Tanaka, mild headache. Angela Pryor, dizziness, rapid breathing. Symptoms consistent with acute mountain sickness, typically above 8,000 feet. GPS showed 600 feet. Altitude sickness shouldn't occur. Holland radioed. DELTA-5 team members experiencing altitude symptoms. 3 affected. Reeves, confirm elevation. Holland, GPS shows 600 feet. Altimeters show 300 feet. Reeves, GPS is accurate. You're at 600 feet. Altitude sickness, not possible. Continue search. Team located hiker 13:55 hours. Hiker conscious, uninjured. No altitude symptoms despite 6 hours east of elevation line. Delta 5 extracted westbound. Osei, Tanaka, Pryor, symptoms worsening. Team crossed elevation line 14:45 hours. Within 2 minutes, symptoms ceased. Osei, headache gone. Tanaka, breathing normal. Pryor, nausea stopped. Immediate cessation upon crossing. Team transported Osei, Tanaka, and Pryor to hospital. Blood tests. All 3 showed reduced oxygen saturation, consistent with 8,000+ feet exposure. Hemoglobin elevated. Typical high-altitude adaptation. Medical evaluation. Physiological markers consistent with acute high-altitude exposure at approximately 8,000-8, 500 feet, despite reported elevation of 600 feet. Hiker's blood work, normal, consistent with 600 feet, same location. Team members, 8,000-foot response. Hiker, 600-foot response. Difference: team carried altimeters. Hiker did not. On April 22, 2017, Search and Rescue Team Charlie-8 responded to distress call. Injured hiker east of elevation line. Ankle injury. Unable to walk. SAR coordinator Diana Foster briefed team leader Robert Hayes. Elevation line is documented hazard. Team will not cross. Helicopter extraction for victim. Hayes reviewed reports. Altitude symptoms ceased upon crossing west. Blood tests confirmed response to high elevation, despite GPS showing 600 feet. Hayes, what if helicopter unavailable? Foster, alternate route. We don't cross elevation line. Weather, clear, helicopter available. Hayes questioned, we're SAR. We go where victims are. Foster, it's documented operational hazard. Teams experience real altitude sickness at flat terrain. We don't cross. Helicopter dispatched 15:20 hours. ETA, 45 minutes. At 15:35 hours, victim radio deteriorating condition. Compound fracture suspected. Bleeding. Immediate extraction needed. Foster. Helicopter 30 minutes out. Ground team, 15 minutes via elevation line. Foster ordered Hayes, Charlie 8, cross elevation line. Victim critical. Stabilize until helicopter arrives. Charlie -8 crossed 15:42 hours. 6 team members. At midpoint, altimeters spiked. Hayes, 9, 150 feet. Range, 8, 900 to 9, 300 feet. GPS, 4, 510 feet. Team hiked 300 yards east. At 15:58 hours, Nicole Brennan collapsed. Hayes, team member down. Brennan, unconscious. Jordan Ellis assessed Brennan. Rapid pulse, shallow breathing, unresponsive. 30 seconds later, Ellis collapsed. Then Kenji Yamamoto, 3, unconscious. Severe altitude sickness. Hayes, Charlie -8 emergency. 3 down. Severe altitude sickness, requesting immediate helicopter. Foster, GPS shows 4, 600 feet. Altitude sickness not possible. Hayes, I have 3 unconscious team members. We need evacuation now. Helicopter diverted. ETA, 8 minutes. Hayes administered oxygen. Brennan regained consciousness. Confused, weak. Ellis and Yamamoto unconscious. Helicopter arrived 16:06 hours. Flight crew altimeters, 4, 580 feet. Ground team, 9, 200 feet. All 6 evacuated. Victim extracted separately. Hospital treatment. Brennan, Ellis, Yamamoto diagnosed with high-altitude cerebral edema and pulmonary edema. Conditions typically above 9,000 feet. Blood oxygen. Severe hypoxia consistent with 9,000 plus feet. Chest x-rays. Pulmonary fluid from altitude. Medical assessment. Advanced altitude sickness. Physiological markers indicate rapid ascent to 9,000 plus feet. Reported elevation, 4, 600 feet. Discrepancy unexplained. Ellis hospitalized 3 days. Brennan and Yamamoto 2 days. All recovered. Victim, ankle fracture, dehydration, no altitude symptoms, normal blood oxygen. April 28th, Foster convened meeting. Presented 3 incidents. 2003, Chin altimeter spike. 2010, Holland altitude sickness. 2017, Hayes team collapse. Pattern. Teams crossing elevation line experience physiological high-altitude response, despite GPS confirming 4, 500 to 4, 600 feet. Altimeters show 7,000 - 9,000 plus feet. Bodies respond to altimeter reading. Medical evidence. Blood oxygen, hemoglobin, pulmonary edema consistent with high altitude. Foster's recommendation. Elevation line designated operational hazard zone. Ground teams prohibited. Superintendent Victor Alvarez. What about victims east of line? Foster. Helicopter only. Ground teams will not cross. Alvarez. Even if helicopter unavailable? Foster. Even then. 3 unconscious in 2017. Next time could be fatalities. Dr. Patricia Okonkwo. Altitude sickness at 4, 600 feet is medically impossible. But our teams experience real responses. Real hypoxia. Real edema. Whatever mechanism occurs at elevation line produces genuine medical emergencies. Alvarez. Psychological? Teams expect sickness because altimeters show high reading. Okonkwo. Blood chemistry doesn't lie. Oxygen drops are measurable. Pulmonary fluid visible on X-ray. Not psychosomatic. Bodies responding to high altitude. Alvarez. But they're at 4, 600 feet. Okonkwo. According to GPS. According to altimeters. 9,000 feet. Physiologically. Bodies agree with altimeters. Protocol established May 1, 2017. Current SAR protocol for elevation line. Elevation line constitutes operational boundary for ground SAR teams. Personnel will not cross elevation line under any circumstances. If victims located east of elevation line, helicopter extraction exclusively. Ground teams will not attempt rescue. Ground teams experiencing altitude symptoms within flat terrain below 5,000 feet will retreat immediately and seek medical evaluation. All personnel briefed on elevation line hazard during training. Rationale. Repeated incidents demonstrate personnel crossing elevation line experience physiological altitude response inconsistent with GPS elevation but consistent with barometric altimeter readings. Operational safety mandates ground team exclusion. Elevation line runs across flat ridge in Sawatch range. GPS says 500 feet. Barometric altimeters say 9,000 feet. In 2003, Chen's team crossed. Altimeters spiked 700 feet. Flat ground. Backtracked. Readings returned. In 2010, Holland's team crossed. 3 developed altitude sickness. Blood tests confirmed 8,000-foot exposure. Rescued hiker, normal oxygen. Same location. Different elevations. In 2017, Hayes' team crossed. 3 collapsed. Pulmonary edema. Cerebral edema, from 9,000 feet. On ground, measuring 600 feet. Ground teams won't cross now. Helicopter only, because GPS shows one elevation. Altimeter shows another. Your body believes the altimeter, not GPS, not ground beneath feet, not flat ridge you're standing on. Your measuring device decides elevation you experience. Altimeter says 9,000 feet, you get altitude sickness. Even at 600 feet. Even on flat ground. Blood oxygen drops, headaches start, lungs fill with fluid, bodies collapse. Medical treatment required. Because altimeter said high altitude. Chen crossed and backtracked, altimeters corrected, Holland's team crossed. Symptoms ceased upon return, Hayes' team crossed. 3 collapsed, hospitalized, same ridge, same flat terrain. GPS confirms. 500 feet. Altimeters insist. 9,000 feet. Teams won't cross. Protocol prohibits, because you measure elevation 2 ways. GPS satellites, or barometric pressure. At elevation line, barometric wins. Your body doesn't care what GPS says. Cares about air pressure. Altimeter reads thin air. You breathe thin air. Helicopters cross. Crew altimeters. 500 feet. Fine. Ground teams cross. Their altimeters, 9,000 feet. Collapse. Same location. Different instruments. Different elevations experienced. Line still there, marked on maps. Ground teams briefed. Do not cross. Victims beyond. Helicopter only. Because elevation line isn't about actual altitude. It's about measured altitude. Measurement decides reality. Altimeter says 9,000 feet. You're at 9,000 feet. Physiologically. Medically. Even if GPS says 500. Ground beneath feet says one thing. Instrument in hand says another. Your body believes the instrument.